I believe I was about 7 or 8 years old at the time, and I was home with my mom while my brother and dad were out that night. Someone rang the doorbell and knocked on the door a few times, but my mom didn't answer it. I now realize that the person or people were testing the home to see if anyone was inside. For some reason, my mom would always get scared when someone was at the front door, and she would never answer it. I don't know why she did that, but I'm the same way now. If I'm not expecting you, then I'm not prepared for visitors. Anyway, we heard banging downstairs at the kitchen window. My mom and I were up in her bedroom at the time, on the second floor. We were both scared, but somehow neither of us realized that the banging sound was someone breaking into our house. I slowly crept along the upstairs hallway toward the top of the stairs, which was right above the kitchen, when I heard a man's voice say, probably to the person that just came through the window too, "Let's go upstairs." For some reason, my scared little brain could only think of one thing to do, which was to say, "Hello?" I heard them immediately scramble back out through the kitchen window and disappear. Now, I'm in my 30s and I'm in law enforcement. I realize how much worse that situation could have been, especially if I had run into the burglars and seen their faces. Knowing what I know now, I feel that we escaped something really terrifying that night. We lived in an apartment in Brooklyn, New York. A small place. At the time, it was just my parents, my brother, and me. It was 4 rooms, 2 bedrooms, a living room, kitchen, and a bathroom just off the kitchen. My dad worked nights sometimes, and of course, while my mom was off to work and we were at school, Dad would catch up on sleep during the day. Now, for perspective, this was an apartment building with 5 other apartments. So, there was a shared hallway and a staircase beyond the locked front vestibule doors. Sometime during the day, my dad woke from a deep sleep and decided that he needed to use the bathroom. The bathroom was just off the kitchen where our front door was located. While he was in the bathroom, he heard noises coming from the kitchen. At first, he thought maybe one of us had come home from school and was searching for food. You know, growing teenage boys can eat you into poverty if you let them. So, he finished what he was doing, and with the intent of coming out of the bathroom and scolding us for making a racket while he would have been sleeping. As he leaves the bathroom, he is startled by the fact that no one is in the kitchen. When he looks over at the front door, the person on the other side just finishes breaking the lock on the door and is about to enter the apartment. My dad said that he didn't know what else to do other than act like a crazy person and charge the person now standing in our doorway. Well, the intruder got one look at my dad in his underwear, acting all crazed and charging him, that he turned and ran. My dad chased the man out of the building, screaming, "I'm going to kill ya." Remember, this is during the day and is about 1 or 2 p.m. in the afternoon. But my dad is raging angry that this person was about to break into our apartment, probably never suspecting that anyone would be at home at that time, because most people work and kids are in school, right? Well, as Dad gets just beyond the front door of the apartment building, walking up the sidewalk is a neighbor lady who sees what is happening and calmly says to my dad, "John, if I didn't know you well and just now saw you, I'd run scared too. If you had more clothes on, it wouldn't be as powerful." She smiled at him and continued walking. Just then, my dad realized he just chased a burglar in his underwear. Tighty whities, if you must know. My wife called me late one evening. I was working with some customers out of state at the time. She called to tell me we'd had a home invasion. She was a bit shaken, but okay. Our German Shepherd was barking at the kitchen door, so she opened it to see what the fuss was about. Beyond the kitchen door are 2 steps out onto an enclosed patio and then another door leading outside to the backyard. She found a man standing in the now open second doorway. This person had forced his way through the back door and into our home in the enclosed patio. My wife wisely decided to step to the side, and he got 100 pounds of angry German Shepherd in place of my wife. He ran screaming, and while the dog had a fun time chasing him around the backyard, my wife got her sidearm. The dog chased him around the yard a few times, down the driveway, across the front yard, and down the block. Every few steps, she'd bite him in the ass. Half a block away, my wife called her, and the dog immediately returned to her side. That dog got steak for dinner that night. I don't think that home invader will be coming back around to our home anytime soon. This happened many years ago back in the 90s, but I'll never forget what happened with this home invader. I was asleep one night after taking some cold medicine, sleeping right next to my husband. We were young and newly married, two 21-year-olds. We had just rented a tiny one-bedroom house. It was great. It was right across the street from the fast food place where I worked. So, I groggily woke up around 2 or 3 a.m. thinking my husband was touching and messing with me. I sit up, and I see, because of the streetlight coming through my window, is a man at the foot of our bed. He was kneeling with his hand at the foot of the bed and was intently looking at me. I remember his face and how bad he smelled. I have offended nostril hairs to this day. Once it registered in my brain what was happening, I screamed. My husband jumped up awake. As he was jumping up to face me on his left, the man ran behind him and out the bedroom door. Straight through our small living room, out the front door. My husband thought I was having a bad dream and was trying to calm me down. I was hysterical, got out of bed and went past him into the living room. The front door was open and the screen door propped open with a broomstick. The contents of my purse were strewn across the floor and the light was on, and our puppy was missing. We didn't have a home phone at the time, and this was before cell phones. So, we were rushing to get dressed so we could go use a payphone to call the police. Just then, I heard a car door shut. I freaked out a little more, screaming, "He is stealing our car!" As we run towards the front door, a female officer was walking up. I immediately started blubbering, trying to explain. She calmed us down and said that she had caught the guy running across the street in a hurry. Suspiciously at that time of night. Small town back in 1998. She starts to take him in for being publicly intoxicated. As she did, she spotted him putting something in his pocket. It's my change purse with my ID cards. Inside, she finds my social, yes. Off my card, I know. I don't carry it on me anymore, and it pops up my address. Since it's nearby, she decides to stop and check on us. Bless her. Turns out, the guy lived in a motorhome down the street. I worked at the drive-thru at a fast food place right next to it. I walked to work. He had been in my home previously because small items missing from my home were ultimately found in his motorhome upon it being searched. He left almost $500 in my purse. He took the change purse with maybe $40 in it, my social security card, my ID, and a photo. He also took a butter knife, dish towel, and if I remember correctly, a small flashlight we had. He had also stolen a carton of cigarettes. My husband had just bought all of those were in his motorhome. He had gloves, tape, and rope on his person. He was there for more than just earthly possessions. This was in 1998. He copped a plea and was put away for 15 years. Included in his list of new charges was a sexual offense. His rap sheet was lengthy with sexual offenses. He was in his 50s. I also found out about 5 years later there was way more to the story than I could have ever imagined. There was a string of break-ins, assaults, and rapes around a local college back in 97, 98. The assailant would break in as the girls were sleeping, and when he was able to, he taped their eyes closed and did terrible things. One of the girls caught a glimpse of a tattoo on his arm. Once it was televised on the news, the attacks abruptly stopped. That university was in the next town, about 15 minutes from our little house. Forensics and the science were improving at that time, and the man's DNA that broke into my home matched the DNA from at least 5 rape cases. I suddenly started seeing how truly blessed and protected I had been. I was used as a witness because the MO was the same, and at that point he was a suspected serial rapist. All the other 5 girls were between 17 and 24 years old. We all looked similar. He was put away with 2 60-year sentences. Most important detail I left out. We found our puppy about 3 days later, after searching every street around us. He ended up a couple streets over, on a back road behind where the motorhome was parked. He seemed unaffected, but we sure were thrilled to have him back. If you are enjoying the videos on my new channel and would like to see more, please subscribe, comment, and send in your true stories. I will work hard to keep bringing you the very best true story videos. Thank you so much.